JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. September 26th, about 2:40 on this fine Thursday. Talk really quick about the market's names. I'm looking at some of the names I've traded today and go from there. Take a look at the SPY S&P. Gapped higher at the open, and then we had to pull all the way down to just a tad under 570 at about 115 or so, and we have since bounced, and we're back up to 572 or so. Kind of I wouldn't say it's the worst case scenario, but that's why I don't like these big large gaps to the upside, because it always seems they get faded, and then sometimes if we don't hit some support, it could turn into a red session. So didn't want to see that happen. Hopefully these gains hold. We can set up nice into tomorrow. We get PCE data, which I don't think is going to move the market too much, and we can go into this weekend looking good, maybe at all-time highs. And then we have the jobs report next Friday. That'll be the next big catalyst for markets, or at least people will be pouring over that number, especially if it's much weaker than expected. And then earnings season kicks off the following week, so should be interesting. I thought 571 would be support. It looks like it's 570, and then on the flip side, the upper Bollinger Band's 575 and change. Actually, what we have 570. Well, actually, it's up to 577 now. So that might be the blue sky breakout up to that tomorrow, depending on what the PC data comes in. All right, so that's the overall market. Small caps, they're green, which is good, up 0.75% and somewhat outperforming. Would have liked to see a bigger rally here today in the small caps, but tomorrow's another day, right? All right, so some individual names. First, I'll talk about BIDU. When I was doing a watch list this morning, well, when I woke up this morning, was it 98 and change? Then it was 99. I'm doing a watch list. All of a sudden, it's 100. It's 101. Uh, and then right out of the gate, it opens at just a little bit over $100 and spiked almost up to $105. Just pretty impressive. And I updated some annotations on the chart here. Let's see if I put it in the chat room. So I mean, certainly resistance there, and we'll have to see how the overnight goes in China. I think that'll dictate a lot what goes on with Baidu, Baba, and all these other China ADRs tomorrow. But I was chasing the October 100 strikes at the open. I had $5, and they didn't fill me, so I had to come down, lock some in for nearly 10 bags, lock some more in just before, just because Baidu has. Yeah, I put in the chat room before. I would say it's gonna be a binary event tomorrow, but there's a possibility Baidu gaps again. Maybe it's 106, 107, and the 100 calls are up substantially more, or it could do the reverse and be at 97 or $96. I think both scenarios are open. I don't know if it'll open flat. Of course, that's scenario number 3, but already made some nice profits on it. I always talk about options, so the reason I trade options. Everybody else has their own reasons for the leverage, right? So I mean, you take small into big on very small capital. I mean, you can also take big into small, which is not the direction I like to go. But the hardest part of the options, and I use that Seinfeld analogy all the time, where they go to the car rental place and they go up to the desk and Jerry says, "I have a reservation." And the lady comes back and says, "Well, we don't have your car." He's like, "Well, that's the easy part. You have my reservation. The hard part is keeping the reservation." Same, I think, goes with options. It's the easy part, and I wouldn't even say it's easy, but once you get to 100% or 200% gain, and you still have time on your calls, it's easy, especially if there's a shakeout in the stock, a little pull. It's easy to close them all out, right? And you still make great money. The hard part is the holds, right? The not holding the reservation, holding the contract that is up 100% for the 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000%. So it's similar here with Baidu. If it goes to 108, 107, 108 tomorrow, my call is gonna be 20 bags. So I'm not holding for that pipe dream. I'm just holding that I think it's a realistic possibility. I still have time on the calls. So already locked in to take out some of the emotion, and I'll just hold the rest into tomorrow. I'm not gonna add any strikes. Maybe if I close all my strikes out tomorrow, then maybe I'll look to revisit. But already nice trade. So that's Baidu. DELL. So finally added some DELL strikes. I talked about this morning did I have it on the watch list? I don't know if I had it on the watch list. But of course, DELL is one of my favorite stocks this year. And Super Micro, there's an investigation into Super Micro's financial. So a whole huge a big issue. I mean, you already have the Hindenburg research come out with the bear piece on it, and a lot of the stuff that was in his report was already kind of known, but it just kind of peeled back the onion for some of the folks who didn't know much about Supermicro's behind the scenes kind of situation. And now you have the Department of Justice looking into things, supposing an employee talked about revenue shenanigans, things like that. I mean, it's a real company with real revenues, right? But the issue is when you have these black eyes and stigmas on a company, especially a high growth company in a hot sector. I mean, does Nvidia want to do business with a company like that? Like, so are they going to be the preferred customer? So there's a lot of different, I think, things that you look at and say, wow, I think this is the more negativity that comes out on Supermicro, the better it is for Dell. The issue with Dell is they have a huge backlog already, but I just think it bodes well. And then they tweeted before that they're going to be talking with Nvidia. It says join us on October 10th for a discussion with Nvidia. I think everything together. You take a look at Micron's earnings after the close yesterday, and then you start looking at the chart on Dell, and I just drew this updated line on Dell before, and it's why I got the 135s for next week, because I don't think it's going to take much for it to get back over that handle, which it traded back in July. And you look at that gap, it wasn't a big gap. I think it was from 130, 192 was the low on that session back in July. Once that breaks, I think it goes up to 150. Call me crazy, and I think it happens pretty rapidly. So, uh, obviously, PC data surprises tomorrow. The market sells off. It's probably going to hamper that move, and maybe I'll look for some more strikes. But I got those Dells into next week, and hopefully, if we rally tomorrow, I think it's over 130. I'll lock some in to cover costs and ride free into next week. So that's kind of the thought process and plan on Dell. Go from there. Uh, so Corbis rallied again all the way up to 23 to 33 at about 10:30. I used the move to close some of my October 25s for 100% to cover costs, and then I actually went and added some October 30s. It's volatile. I mean, take a look at today, all the way up to 23.33, and then back under 21 in a matter of an hour and a half. It's not the most liquid name, so it's not a high volume name, so you can see a lot of shenanigans on the swings. It also has a high short interest, well, over 10%. Um, I think it trades up near 30 in the coming weeks. So happy with what I have right now. I'm not going to add any more strikes, but I continue to think, like, I'll continue to hold what I have, and I think it trades over $30. There's folks, and I still think they don't realize all the other pipelines for Corbis. It wasn't just CB1, and it's with tumors and oncology and cancer. That's a huge field. There's been huge M&A, and this is only a 200 something million dollar market capitalization with 147 million in cash. So for a company to come and just acquire them, it wouldn't cost much. So anyway, rants for other days, but really like Corbis for upside. SE all the way up to 96 at the open has kind of been chopping around here. The stock is up 8 sessions in a row. So I'll just continue to hold my 100 strikes. I was looking for more strikes. I'm just a little nervous. At some point, there's going to be some consolidation, and I'll wait for that pull before adding more strikes for the move over $100. And if it does go over $100 before I add more strikes, that's great. My October strikes will just keep going up. It's been a nice one so far. Redfin, there was new home sales came out, and it was positive, and estimates were for a negative read. So at first you saw a knee-jerk reaction. Redfin trades all the way down to 11.90, and then it just soared pretty much over $1 reversal in a matter of an hour just before a couple hours. You start looking at the chart, and if this is the bottom and this is the floor right now of its recent pull from highs, and it's higher lows, higher highs, higher highs, higher lows on the chart, and I think that just sets up for a move to 1760 or so in the coming weeks. So I'll continue to look at that. I'm trying to think of the other names. Sorry about that, folks. Oh, and then last but not least is Biogen. And Biogen, I almost look to get some November strikes. I'll be patient there. It's not doing much besides killing premium, so I'll hold off on that. I'm trying to think what else we have here. I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great afternoon. I'll be back on audio tomorrow. Rock and roll.